Right, commissioners, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good morning, everyone. We are going to begin our day with a hearing to consider the 2026 budget and to, so I'm just gonna go right into it and call Jen up.
We need to do a pledge of allegiance. Please,
We could,
please.
okay. Jason, could you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason. All right, now.
Good morning, Commissioners. So this public hearing is to consider adoption of the 2026 budget for Mason County. RCW 3640.060 requires the Board of County Commissioners to hold a public hearing on the 2026 preliminary budget to allow taxpayers to appear and be heard for or against any part of the budget. The public hearing also allows county departments to publicly testify if they so desire. Pursuant to RCW 3640.071 and resolution number 111-85, this hearing is to be held on the first Monday in December. Copies of the 2026 preliminary budget were made available to the public on November 17th of this year. And the public hearing notice was advertised in the Shelton-Mason County Journal for 2 weeks prior to this public hearing. So the budget is proposed as follows for 2026 for the general fund. The beginning fund balance is estimated at $24 million. Total revenues are estimated at $47,942,893. Salary and benefit expense is estimated at $38,521,737. Operating expenditures are estimated at $19,181,003. And total estimated ending fund balance is $14,240,153. And I also want to point out that the budgeted full-time equivalent employees on here, I made an error. I should have added in the DARE employee for the sheriff's office, so it should be 104.5 FTEs for the sheriff's office, not 103.5. So with your permission, I would like to make that change on attachment A of the resolution. So the total employees for the general fund should be 290.04 instead of 289.04. So that's all for the general fund. For the special revenue and other county funds, the total beginning fund balances are estimated at $64,638,394. Total revenues are estimated at $63,082,131. For total revenues and beginning fund balances for the special revenue and other county funds of $127,720,525. Salary and benefit expense is estimated at $16,487,137. Total operating expense is estimated at $56,922,985. Ending fund balances for the special revenue and other county funds are estimated at $54,310,403. For total expenditure budgets of $127,720,525. The budgeted full-time equivalent employees are estimated at 135.92 for the special and other funds. And altogether, with the general fund and the special revenue and other county funds, the beginning fund balance is estimated at $88,638,394. Total revenues, $111,025,024. The total revenues and beginning fund balances of $199,663,418. Total salary and benefits expense estimated at $55,008,874. Total operating expense estimated at $76,103,988. And total estimated ending fund balances, $68,550,556. Total expenditure, including ending fund balance, is estimated at $199,663,418, and total budgeted FTEs are 425.96. So with that, I also want to add that I updated the ending fund balance projection for the end of 2026 this morning based on this budget. And we are, in the adopted 2025 budget, we had estimated to use $12,387,487. And it looks like we are going to end the year with approximately $24 million. And based on that, and that's for the beginning of 2026 or end of 2025, and updating the cash projections with these budget numbers, we're looking at using $9,759,847 in our budget. In actual cash, it looks like we will end the year for 2026 at about $22 million based on what has happened over the past 6 years. Based on what has happened over this year, 2025, through October, we would end the year at approximately between 24 and 25 million, so about break even. So I'm very happy with that projection. Again, that's just based on what has happened this year, not taking into account any other factors, so please keep that in mind. So I just wanted you to be aware of that projection, plugging in these numbers into that budget. And I can give you a copy of that projection if you'd like.
Thank you.
Commissioners, questions for staff?
So you took it upon yourself to determine the unexpended budget authorities before bringing it to the commission?
Well, I just wanted, that's based on what has happened in the past. So I just wanted you to have that information available at this time.
That's an odd thing to present. So my question to you is, did you also take into account the year when we had 0 unintended or unexpended budget authority? Because that's the thing that got us in the biggest trouble years ago. That's why we stopped budgeting that way.
I did not take into account anything except what has happened over the past 6 years and then what's happened over this year. So I just wanted you to be aware of that information.
Okay.
So
I appreciate the information. And thank you for your work on this.
So at this time, that's all that I have to present for you. The recommended action is to move to adopt the 2026 budget in the amount of $199,663,418. The general fund is $71,942,893, and the total other county funds are $127,720,525. Or option 2 is to close the public comment and continue the hearing to December 9th, 2025 at 9:15 a.m. to consider adoption of the 2026 budget.
Anything else that you'd like to add?
No, and I'm sorry if you feel like that is overstepping. I just wanted you to have that information at this time. I'm not saying that it's accurate for 2026, it's just based on what has happened in the past, that is all.
I appreciate it because it verifies what I did myself, so. I mean, I was looking at that same data, so went back and looked to see what the difference is gonna be, because all we can go by is what we've learned in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience have questions for staff? All right, anyone in the Zoom room have questions for staff? All right, seeing none, thank you, Jen. All right, it's time to open this up for public comment. Do we have anyone well, to begin, I'd like to have people come up, state your name, raise your hand, chair will recognize you. Come up to the podium, and we'll start with those in the room first. Yes.
Good morning, Commissioners. Steve Dungle, Mason County Auditor. As auditor, I have statutory responsibility for oversight of the county's finances. I am opposed to the proposed 2026 budget because it continues and accelerates deficit spending in the general fund. Currently, this budget spends $10.822 million more than in expected revenues. This is not sustainable, and it represents a fiscal blunder. Last week, Commissioner Netherland proposed a set of small cuts to implement now, including a cut in the auditor's office, which I'm not thrilled about. But those cuts will allow us to buy time and avoid significant, painful cuts next year. This would also avoid the tax increases currently being discussed. As elected officials and public servants, we have a fiduciary duty to find ways to fulfill our statutory responsibilities without placing additional burdens on Mason County taxpayers. The people are taxed too much already. Early this year, Commissioner Netherland agreed to work with me to explore opportunities to develop new revenue sources without raising taxes. I invite you to join me in that endeavor. But for now, I urge you to work together on cuts with which you all agree and begin the hard work to balance the general fund budget without depleting cash and restore the county to a sound financial position. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have anyone else?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Chris Kay. I'm a resident of North Mason. And not sure this is an appropriate place, but fairly to interject here. I just want to take an opportunity as a member of a citizen of the county to just thank you for your service to the county. The efforts are challenging and very time consuming, and I just want to appreciate to see you and also all of the other elected officials on that aspect. From my perspective, there's probably two major, that's an oversimplification, but two major responsibilities from a commissioner's perspective that you're full aware of. One of those is the budget, okay? And I agree. And second, our auditor with the aspect of the importance of fiduciary responsibility along that line. But I just wanted from a citizen, just kind of, as you're trying to balance the budget and be responsible with the balancing, is to just keep in mind those aspects that are near and dear to many of the citizens of this county. There are different levels of public governance, and obviously the state has taken some very wide-reaching initiatives to tax us as citizens to provide those services that they deem and prioritize. Just urge you to consider that at the county level might not be completely in alignment with the same priorities in that aspect with how we spend the local money. In particular, I just want to emphasize the areas of, I'll say, law enforcement. As a citizen, over the last year, I've been personally a victim of 3 separate crimes at the minor crimes level. Crimes that, although reported to the Sheriff's Department, I totally recognize are too small for his limited, for Sheriff's limited responsibility to try to take care of. Just got to stay focused and prioritize. So I'm recognizing that aspect, and just to kind of further mention, it's mostly in the areas of 2 of them in mail thefts, and 1 of them in a damage to a vehicle. Okay. And then the third one that is not to me personally, but witnessing how we as a society deal with shoplifting in a local QFC store. Okay, those are all minor crimes, but they also impose, in the case of mail theft, where it's a life insurance check, right? Ultimately, I didn't receive any negative immediate penalty to that. The insurance company issued a second check for that purpose, but it does impact us all as society because the life insurance company will not absorb that out of their profits. They simply raise your insurance premiums, right? And so there's an intangible, indirect cost of the crime. In the case of shoplifting that I witnessed and reported, although it was not an immediate detriment to my expense, but it does cause the grocery store to say, hey, we've got to absorb that cost and cover it, so they increase the prices on our groceries. Okay. So I just wanted to recognize, just that kind of a level. Now, I'm not expecting miraculously for our local law enforcement to be able to pick up on all those aspects, because there's too few as it is to take care of even the major crime, right? But I just bring those points up just as a aspect of concern that as you consider cuts and trying to balance budgets, I just want to leave our request that you carefully look at the law enforcement area and on the other effects of that to avoid reducing and handicapping that area even further than we are. And that's not just the Sheriff's Department, it'll also be the legal system in general, both the judiciary aspect also. The other aspect that I want to just kind of emphasize is, as a county, we have a major role, or I should, I guess, I put the weed in there, but I'm very indirect on that. But from your roles is the planning and the vision for the future and leading us through that vision. As a citizen of the county, I'm relying upon the county staff to be adequately staffed to be able to take care of advanced planning and to get that vision and lead us into the future, and carefully look at those areas that for the long-term effects of cutbacks at the county staff level, whether it be infrastructure and those types of aspects. So, as a citizen, I have faith in the 3 of you as you look forward and look at the difficult challenge of looking at this budget, and just wanted to give you those points from a citizen's perspective, and just look forward, relying on leadership to lead the society and how we can work together to come up to resolve difficult problems and how we deal with conflict. So those are the aspects as a citizen, just giving feedback to you at this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Maybe anyone else in the room that would like to say anything? All right, let's go to the Zoom room. Is there anyone in the Zoom room that would like to speak to the commission on in regards to the budget? All right, seeing none, let's move on to commissioner deliberation or a motion.
Madam Chair, I'm going to be asking the board to table this until the 8th. And I'll explain why. You know, it's nice that we have this in front of us, this document that was just presented, but that's something we should be having a discussion during our briefings and during our budget discussions to decide how much impact we give to that or how much impact we do not give to that. One of the things that this is it's a swag at what they've seen over the last few years, but I've been here long enough to I know what it's like when it doesn't work this way. Looking at this calculation, of which I haven't had a chance to look at it much, I'm looking at it right now. It is an idea of revenue versus how much has been expended with the swag this year. Now, last year we lost. We went backwards a couple million, basically. That's not appropriate. This year we're still going to go backwards. I truly, honestly believe that. I want to give Commissioner Tarswell a pat on the back for something though. Very first month, over the last several years, I fight and I vote along with the budget because we negotiate as a team and bring it down. Sometimes they want a lot more than I want to do, and I want a lot less, so we find a place in the middle, and so I vote accordingly. I end up saying yes in order to get what we need to. At one point, when we had one person leaving to replace her as a commission, we were talking at one point $750,000 to replace her, and that drove me crazy. We ended up with a couple $100,000, $250 agreement amongst us. So again, I end up voting for the budget because of stuff like that. You've seen me, you worked with me now, that's what we do. That's how I do it. I need to give you a pat on the back because the very first that year I was so worried about going backwards even more. I begged for some help that we do not hire some positions that were created at the end of last year. 2 management positions that would have accounted for another $500,000 of expenditure this year. You held off and you said, we'll take some time, we'll look at it. With that, that turned into a full year of holding off and not doing it. That saved us $500,000, no matter how you look at it. Because if we had filled those positions, that would have been more money that we'd expended this year. We also got very lucky. If you haven't figured out, I know my budgets well. I've been doing this for years, but aside from that, I study them as deep as I can. We had a great year. We've had a beneficial year with different things because for budget, we had a lot of positions that were not filled. For example, as you know, we went for quite a while without a director of our public defense, basically. We had a lot of other positions that were not filled, and those things all count for this and show this number. But there are times when those positions do get filled. Okay, and when they do, that number gets a lot less. We also had a windfall on certain things like our sales tax and stuff, which doesn't happen all the time. Not in this manner. This was a spectacular year. Will it happen next year? I don't know. That's why we budget a certain way to be careful. Because when the mistakes do happen, the devastation is horrible. I'm telling you that because I was here when we only had to make up a couple of $1 million. When we did, we had to lay off, or not lay off, we laid off some, because we laid off, I think, about 16, but we also didn't fill positions, 28 positions, 12 of which were in the sheriff's department. The reason why it was the sheriff's department was so big is because the majority of our budget is right there. When you go to cut a budget, you can't just pick where you want to cut it from. You can't just take it anywhere you want because you have money in, money out. You want to pick a position in the roads, that won't help in the general fund. You want to pick a position in certain health departments, well, it's a grant money in, grant money out. It doesn't work that way. So the more you start looking at these cuts, the smaller the circle of what gets cut is able to touch. With that, there's a fear that I have because I've seen it before. 28 is a huge number, and that was only a couple of million. As we go to expend, it has a bow wave, as you've seen already. We end up spending more and more, and with that, the dangers get greater and greater. What we'll do if we continue to do this without doing some of these cuts is we will continue to spend the money that we have put away. We were once one of the poorest counties in the state of Washington. Over the last several years, we've done incredible. We ended up at one point putting away $29 million. That's went from 165,000 cash on, and that's the worst part of the year. During the rest of the year, I think we were up to like 8 or something like that. But it literally got better and better, and it took some hard cuts. I had past sheriff and all the group all yelling at me and screaming at me, and it was horrible times, but it took the beating in order to get us where we needed to get. We moved over to a cash basis, so we didn't have a 13th month, because in the 13th month in January we're making up for the sins of the year, and it was eating us alive. We found a way to put away and start to save our money by putting away for contingencies and stuff like that. With that, it made the money kind of untouchable, and we were able to keep expanding. But over the last few years, it's getting worse and worse, and we're spending more and more. We don't have to. One of the things that happened the other day, this is already better than it was. Just the other day, I was able to convince the other commissioners to take diversion funds, which is $1 million, from the road fund, which we don't want to do, but this is how you save, you make the cuts and you save the deputies. Because that money gets spent in the sheriff's department and they keep track of it, and this way it's an allowed expenditure. By doing that though, that took $1 million out of our deficit, just with that one action. There's a couple other things that I don't think we've decided to do, but we should be doing. We have other funds that are called real estate excise tax funds, which can only be used for infrastructure and the like that. There's also 09 funds which can be used for infrastructure, but also for economic development and stuff. My recommendations include taking a couple of our positions and moving them over to REIT, where we take and we expend out that money in REIT. This way we don't have to lay these people off. So although it looks like positions are gone, they're not gone. They're just moved to a different part of the budget, which is important because every one of these millions that we lose today will be a bigger bow wave tomorrow. And if I have to make up, or you have to make up, or we have to make up 5 million, the cuts would be excruciating and almost impossible for us to do. And you're limited in what you can do. We've had discussions, and there are staff that likes to talk about revenue increases and stuff. But I got to tell you what, my job as a commissioner is to try and do it without a revenue increase, to try and live within our means if we can. Since 2018, we have now, if we do this budget, we will have done, increased it by 51.25 employees. That's since 2018. That's just the general fund. It's 64 to 65 in the whole thing. That's a lot of employees over the years. Was it necessary? Is it necessary? We need to look at what's most important. And as was mentioned here, we have a duty to decide what is the most important things that the citizens need. Personally, I still think we should be talking about having animal control. It's a couple $100,000, and there are other things that we're spending money on internally that may not be as important to the service that it provides to the community. But I can tell you, these things that I've put together that I would like to have that conversation, and I'll tell you why it came this far, Commissioner. We waited during the process because you wanted to wait for making some of the decisions till we had it all. We did, so we still needed the time to do this, and that's why I'm asking for the time to do this. You may say no to me. I get that, but I have to at least try. If I don't try, then I know that here eventually we're going to run out of this extra cash that we don't have as extra cash, and we're going to have to make cuts. And as I said, we only had to make up a couple million of hard dollars, and the cuts were excruciating. If it was 5, I don't know what we would do, to be honest with you. We would end up gutting our things. Certain departments, the sheriff's department is still too shy away from where, no, 1, if we count today's, 1 shy away from where it was. The auditor's department still has not come back from that other cut. So when we have to cut, those are the ones that have to get cut because they're the only ones that we have the right to cut. We can't cut money coming in, money going out. So with that being said, I know that we don't want to cut prosecuting attorneys. We finally got them. We don't want to cut public defenders. We have no choice but to expand on that in the next years. So I'd like you to please consider the things that I put down here. It doesn't mean you have to go with them. But if we don't do the cuts now, we will do them tomorrow. We'll do them next year. If we do it in the mid-year, I've already been through that too. As the sheriff's head is shaking, that's devastating. We can do it in a manner that's smart, it's intelligent. We could even set it up to where there's a month salary in there so that during the month of January, those that are either let go or not filled have the opportunity to go out and find another job and not lose it. It's easier to get a job when you have a job than it is not to. I think this is a smart thing that I've come up with to try and do it. I think we all should have been trying to come up with this, but I'll do the best that I can because that's all I can do. But with that being said, I'm going to be making a motion that we move this hearing, that we set it off until December 8th, where we can still have public testimony if they want, because we may have some choices that they may like or may not like. So I don't want to close public testimony on it, but move it to the 8th so we can have some more discussions about it. Maybe today we discuss it and come up with some better cuts and things that we can agree on. But again, if we do nothing, the people will pay for it. And I want to remind everybody, when we talk about these extra monies or possibility of extra revenue, we tried to do a parks fund in this county and it lost like 60-40. 2019, we did a criminal justice tax, put it on the budget. It lost 60-40. We can't budget counting on that, that's for sure. It's already proven. I'm not saying we don't do it. You and me have something in common. We don't begrudge the people the right to burden themselves. I've heard you say the same thing. I don't like it. I'd rather they not, but I'm going to give them the opportunity to burden themselves because it's their choice, it's their life. And if they want to do that, but they've said no each time, so I don't wanna budget for it, expecting that they would, because they haven't proved that they wanna do it so far. And I don't wanna have for future cuts in the sheriff's department alike. And even if we did this, there's no guarantee we don't, but at least, it doesn't double each year and turn into 12 next year and 18 the year after, whatever. Thank you. Oh, that was a motion, by the way.
So my comment is, since I'm new to this, all I could do is go back in history. And I've seen the history that the budgets have always been, Mason County budgets very conservatively. We budget that our revenues are going to be lower than they actually end up being, and our expenditures will be higher than they actually end up being. And so as I was reviewing previous budgets, okay, that's the history that I looked at. Because when I looked at this budget originally, it's like, oh, this seems out of whack. We're spending too much money. We're budgeting too much money. I appreciate what you're saying, is that we can't guarantee that's going to happen. But being new to this, it's like, well, all I can do is look at what's happened recently. Generally speaking, what happened in the past is indicative or predictive of what will happen in the future. So that's how I was approaching this. I am a little, I don't know what the right term is, but I'm surprised that it's that you made this proposal last Monday, and wondering why it didn't come out sooner, because one of the things with your experience, Randy, Commissioner Netherland, in your 14 years of doing this, I thought it seemed a little late for this to be brought up last Monday, when I thought we were in a position where our budget was pretty well fixed. So, yes, I am totally opposed to raising taxes, contrary to what Steve is implying, that the commission wants to increase taxes. I'm exactly the opposite of that. I've told our administrator the very same thing. I will fight to increase taxes. I think you could find it on video here, where I said the people are already paying too damn many taxes. I think we're taxed too much. So I would like to see us focus on growth, and as I've said in the past, you want to attract businesses, become attractive. So we have to clean up the county. We have to spend some money, which is going to take spending money with the health department and doing code enforcement. The sheriff's got to do code enforcement. The prosecutor's got to be able to prosecute those crimes. We've got to do what it takes to clean up this county and become attractive. That's how we bring in more business. Business is where we make the most in revenue. Taking it from the citizens directly by property taxes and sales taxes is great. That's more income for us, but businesses pay more in taxes than they consume. Residents, although it's great to get their revenue, they consume almost the same amount of taxes that they put into it through schools and through fire and through everything like that. So my focus is and will remain trying to improve our business community, diversifying our economy so we're not as subject to downturns in the timber industry or downturns in shellfish, or we get hit with poisoned shellfish by septic system problem, whatever causes a hit in some of our major industries. I mean, we rely on a pretty focused economy in Mason County, and I think that needs to be diversified. Well, how do we do that? We spend the money on the sheriff's department and on public health and on these things so that we can clean up. We're all aware of many areas in Mason County that need work. They need to be addressed. and we are not doing our job to protect the citizens who live around some of these areas. And I think that's gotta be a focus. You would agree, I think, Commissioner Netherland, that is a big thing we've gotta focus on. And I'm not sure how we get there. This is new to me. How do we do this? So if we make too many cuts now, do we stop any progress we've made so far this year? And that's where I'm coming from. So that's pretty much covers what I have to say.
All right, so before we move forward, we do have a motion that has been made. Is there a second?
I will
option
second
two.
the motion to give you another bite at this, and we can keep talking about this because, I agree, this is something we need to talk about. I wish we'd have brought this sooner, but, okay, we'll delay it till the 8th. But I'm just telling you right now, I'm not in favor of making significant cuts. I'd rather grow the revenue, and grow the revenue by growing the economy. That's the only way we get there, is doing what needs to be done for cleaning up Mason County. So I'll second your motion.
Commissioners?
It would be the 9th,
Yes, that's what I was.
right? So that motion will have to be amended to say the 9th.
The 9th.
And you're good with that?
Yeah, the 8th is a Monday. We can do it either way. But I don't care if I do it on the 9th.
According to the calendar, we already have it scheduled for if it didn't pass today, it was to be on the calendar for the 9th. I'm frustrated. I am so frustrated right now because we have worked 4 months on this budget. All departments, all the electeds have worked 4 months. Our staff has worked 4 months. Not 4 months, but for many months on this budget to get it where it is. How many workshops did we have? And yet you're pushing it down the road more. I'm a little frustrated with the I'm just frustrated. So I'm gonna call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Motion passes. We're scheduled for the 9th. Okay. I am closing this public testimony. Not closing it, I am suspending the public testimony and we'll schedule this for the 9th. All right. Let's move on to our agenda. Are we planning on just sitting up here and doing the rest of the briefing?
We've got the table set up.
What would be easy for you?
Wait,
Either way.
take time.
All right, we've got about 7 minutes to get the room set up for our briefing. And we'll come down. All right, welcome back, everyone. We are going to jump right into our PAC interview with Cynthia. And I see Cynthia is online.
Hi,
Hi, Cynthia, how are you?
really good.
Oh, good. So we want to thank you first for applying to be on the Planning Advisory Commission. And we have some questions that we're going to ask you.
Okay,
Each commissioner will ask a question. There's no right or wrong answer. And so we're gonna have Commissioner Tarsville go first, Commissioner Netherland, and then I will follow and just do a round robin.
okay, sounds good.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What do you see is the function of the Planning and Advisory Commission?
My interpretation is that it's just a group of volunteers that, from a variety of backgrounds, that offer input or suggestions, trying to represent the larger community into implementing the growth management program.
So why do you want to sit on the advisory board?
Well, I've always been kind of interested in volunteering in different community things, and since my retirement a couple of years ago, I got away from it because I had a really busy job. And then the last couple of years, I've been gradually getting back into volunteering in different things. The Hood Canal Festivals board, and this opportunity came up. I sat in on a couple of meetings, and it just seemed like I felt like I could offer a little bit different input into this process, and thought I'd give it a shot and see what happened.
All right, great. So please describe for us your familiarity and understanding of the Comprehensive Plan, the Growth Management Act, and development regulations.
Well, I don't really have a whole lot of information on the regulation part, and I just have a basic knowledge of the Comprehensive and Growth Management Plan from years ago when it first became a mandate. So that's part of why I want to be involved, is to get a greater understanding of what it all means. And I guess basically I feel like it's designed, or what the board would do is help design the growth management, growing of Mason County in such a way that is beneficial to the people that live here as well as the businesses, and trying to do that in a thoughtful way. And because that's why I live in Mason County, and a lot of people live in Mason County, is because there's a lot of open space, there's a lot of forest space, there's a lot of beachfront property, as well as kind of developing little hubs of metropolis like Belfair and Shelton. And I think the desire of the people that live here would like to keep a balance of those two things, if you will. So that's what I think, and maybe it's way off, but that's what I feel it sort of is just supposed to help do.
That's a great answer, thank you.
What's your opinion of rural development?
Well, that kind of is what I was speaking to before. I think that rural development needs a lot of thought, because I think part of the draw for Mason County is we do have a lot of rural lands. I own a couple of forest lots, as well as a couple of building lots and waterfront property and whatnot. So I understand that fence, or that teetering between overdevelopment and underdevelopment to try to keep tourism alive. So I think it needs to be very thoughtful, the rural development part, because I think that is part of the draw for visitors to come to Mason County, is our rural opportunities in the forest and the canal, on the beaches, on the state parks, the hikes, etc.
Now, the board meets in the evening at least once a month, currently using Zoom. Will this be an issue for you?
No, I prefer to attend in person, but obviously I figured out how to do the Zoom thing. So, yeah.
All right, do you have any conflicts of interests in regards to the county code?
I
Any
don't think so.
violations?
What would be considered a conflict of interest? I mean, I do own,
If you have any violations or anything like that?
no,
No, all right.
Or zoning applications, or?
no. Yeah, no, I own a couple parcels of forest land, and a couple parcels of, developed land, waterfront property. So I kind of have a variety of properties that I own, but nothing under development or no permits existing to do anything with those other than hang on to them.
All right. Do you have any questions for us?
The commitment would be basically once a month in an evening, is what I understood, correct? Other than that, what exactly are you guys looking for in terms of a person to be on this committee?
I think you stated it rather well in the beginning. We want to have a diverse group of citizens who are going to keep in mind this is my perspective, but, be willing to have the discussions and, open and honest debate about what the county needs.
And what is the timeline? As I understand the growth management deal, it started a long time ago, but there's certain timeframes where different things have to be accomplished. Is that correct? And are we on a timeline now when it all needs to be completed, or is it an ongoing process?
Yeah, we do have the approval for the comp plan coming up. I believe it is on the 16th?
16th,
On the 16th, and so the board will have a hearing at that time to take a look at it, approve it, disapprove it, critique it.
And if changes can occur, then there's no changes to that once it's approved, or how does it work as it goes along?
Well, it's a plan. It's not set in stone.
Yep, that's a good word. Got it.
All right, Commissioner Andrea.
One of the things, to answer your first question, one of the things that I'm looking for is the idea that, understand there's laws, rules, and regulations, and there's personal opinions, and the two are not always the same. And when you
Right.
serve on that committee, it is hard to remove yourself, to make sure that the laws, rules, and regulations are followed, and that it fits within that parameter. A great example is, when they were looking to do the racetrack, and they were looking at rezoning, you have to keep in mind, it doesn't matter what the project is, because if you had rezoned it to the thing they were asking for, you would have been able to allowed to have amusement parks or whatever they wanted there, because the law says that it can. Also, there may be a piece of property you don't want touched, but you know what? The law says that they should be allowed to, so therefore they are. That's a hard part to do when it comes to this. And another thing you're gonna be working on here shortly, though, is the shoreline master plan, which I can assure you, that is definitely
Yeah.
something that's in depth.
That's gonna be touchy, for
Yes.
sure, yep. Yeah, I understand all that. I like to think of myself as a person that keeps an open mind, but still, willing to maybe shed different light or a different opinion or a different take on things. But I understand the law thing, which, it can make it difficult to arrive at a point that stays within the law and yet satisfies everyone, which is almost impossible. So I understand that part of the discussion and the group effort.
All
And
right.
you basically dodged the comp plan bullet.
Yeah,
All right, well, we will, so the process is, we will discuss this. Staff will reach out to let you know one way or the other. And
okay,
And then you can either enjoy the holidays or look forward to more work.
okay, well, thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so we have another one at 10:15. Hi, how are you? Well, now that you're here, would you like to come on up and? Andrea?
Yes.
Andrea, so nice, and thank you so much for applying.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. All right, so we have some questions here. We're gonna do kind of
Sounds
a
good.
round robin. Ask Commissioner Tarswell to go first, Commissioner Nealon, and then I will follow. There are no right or wrong answers.
Okay,
And we'll go from there.
sounds great.
Sometimes I want to change this. The question is, why do you want to sit on the Mason County Historic Preservation Board?
Well, first off, I'm a member of the Squaxin Island Tribe, so I have since time immemorial, my family's been here. My grandfather's Dennis Allen. His grandfather was one of the main informants of the Tawana and Coast Salish people. So this is something that I'm a carver. I have just huge ties within this entire county along with neighboring counties. And I think that I could actually help with any questions. Actually speaking to a few different people. There's a lot of different projects. My grandpa did masonry work up and down the canal. along with carving up and down the canal, and have great ties with not just tribal people, but non-tribal people also. And those stories luckily are passed down to me, and I just think that maybe with having that connection between the county and the tribes, because I'm not only am I Squaxin, but I also come from Skokomish tribe. And so those ties, I think, can help all of us and have a greater understanding within our communities. So that's why.
You've already answered some, but please briefly describe any past experiences on projects or with organizations that you think may be applicable to the work on the Historic Preservation Commission.
So I've worked with, because I'm a carver, I've done projects from Shoreline all the way around to Suquamish. And so I've worked with not only Olympia's city council, but I've worked with the preservation and historical committee, or it's neighborhood in Seattle. I'm currently working with that. So I've worked with so many different committees and commissions throughout the entire state, really. And I sat actually on our museum board for over 20 years now. I sat on our budget commission, I sat on our education commission, so I know how commissions and committees and boards work, not only because of me sitting on them, but because of having to work on the other end and answer the questions. And sometimes it's nice to have that insight of how other cities are doing work, because it might be, you know, something that maybe is being overlooked that I can actually bring to the table. And then, of course, it's also a learning curve just on my own work. You know, there's always something to be taught and always something to learn, so, yeah.
Great. Are there any existing projects of the Historic Preservation Commission that they're working on right now that you're particularly interested in, or are there new projects you have in mind that you would like to facilitate?
I actually just newly have gotten involved. I sat in one meeting last month. It just happened to come across, and I was like, you know, I sat on for so many years with my tribe. Why ain't I sitting on a couple here in Mason County also? So there isn't anything in particular that I'm looking at. It was just, it got my curiosity, and I thought this might be something that could be an opportunity for both sides. So, yeah.
So this board typically meets on the second Thursday of each month at 2 p.m. Will that be an issue for you?
I am self-employed, so most of the time, I'm a self-employed carver for over 30 years. Most of the time I can make it work unless, you know, there's a meeting that's called from Seattle or Shoreline or something like that that I can't get out of. And even with that, usually it's because I'm driving, so I can do Zoom. You know, so most of the time that can work.
Do you have any conflicts of interest with the mission of the advisory board?
Absolutely not.
Final question. Do you have any questions for us?
No, I don't think so. I just hope that we can have a really good working relationship. So,
I have
Thank you.
questions
Yeah.
off of this,
Yes.
not on this at all. Your grandfather,
yes.
he also did totems and stuff.
Yes, so,
I think he's the one we were looking for. What was his last name again?
Henry Allen.
I think it was.
Yeah.
The Port of Allen had a totem for many, many years that they couldn't figure out who it was. It came up over and over again that I think it was, but they were thinking that maybe it was just confused because of the name.
Yes.
I think your grandfather's the one that did that totem that was there
Yes.
for all those years, and he should be recognized for that. They ended up taking it down because it had some issue and they couldn't find ownership, which
Oh,
is oddly
really?
enough, because of that, they didn't know what to do on it.
I would love to know more
He had
about
done it in a way that showed all the potlatches that occurred on that location.
Oh, that's
And-
awesome. I have never heard about that one.
Yeah.
I would love
It
to
was
see
at
that
the Port of
one.
Allen. It was out in the
Okay.
waterfront for the longest time.
I'll have to talk to
And
my
that's what
grandpa.
the name that kept coming back up and up. I think
Yeah.
he did. If you could look through any of his notes, I'd love to see him recognized for that because it was there forever. And we were so
Yeah.
proud of it when I was a port commissioner there and stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, no, Grandpa did taught carving. So he was born in 1850. My great-great-grandpa was born in 1854. And he worked with Myron Ills, William Elmendorf, and oh my goodness, what's his name that does the photography? Edward Curtis. And there's actually, and then he worked with all the artists since then. So he worked with the painter, what is his name, up the canal. He worked with, I mean, we've got tons and tons of history. A bunch of the buildings that are up there, he did the chimney work for. And then he also taught from Macaw over to Quinault, over to, you know, and when was trying to make sure to maintain canoe carving. I can go back, his grandpa carving a canoe, and I can go back 8 generations on both sides carving a canoe together that ended up drifting off over and ended up in Tahuya. And that's where my family ended up doing a longhouse site, was just because the canoe went there, and it was a beautiful site. And you can read the story in the Tawana Narratives book that from Tawana Narratives from, it's not Myron Mills, William Elmendorf, I believe, wrote that book.
Do you remember about 18, 20 years ago, they reinitiated the canoe trips?
Oh, yes.
Okay, they used that location in Allen. I was the
Yep.
one that was able to greet them because of that totem.
That's
and because of what
awesome.
was built there.
Yeah.
That was why it was made part of that, so for your
That's
family,
awesome.
thank you on behalf of the North Mason community. But
Yes.
if you find out any documentation,
I
I
will.
would love to share it with them.
I'll talk to my grandpa, because my grandpa is now, he just turned 90 in October.
Wow.
And he just moved in with us almost a year ago. And so I'll bring that up today and see
Please
if
do.
he knows anything about it, because if there's anybody that knows, it's probably gonna be him. So I will definitely, and I'll bring back the story, so.
Thank you.
But it was nice meeting all of you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, so
Thank
the
you.
process. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, go
I
ahead.
was saying off topic,
Uh-huh.
what media do you work in?
So I'm a carver, so I do large scale welcome figures, all the way from things that fit in my hand to, I'm getting ready to erect a 21-foot welcome figure across from the Smith Tower, hopefully in January. I'm doing the Forston Park right now. So Forston Square Park is going to eventually be renamed, I believe, to, oh my goodness, I just lost her name. Anyway, one of our fluent, late fluent teachers, language teachers. And so I'm doing all of the artwork, the gates, the sidewalks. I'm working on a entryway up in Shoreline Community College, or I just did Shoreline Community College up in Burgerborg Park right there, 18-foot, 2 welcome figure or house posts that are going to tell the Habu, or a story out of the Habu book about Basket O'Grease. If you go to the new summit, the Washington State Convention Center, I have 2 16-foot welcome figures standing at each entryway. I work with a lot of stuff. Visit Seattle just sent me to New York last year to do the tourism between Seattle and here. So yeah, I do. And then I do all kinds of other stuff. I'm a weaver. I'm a seamstress. I, of course, crochet. I do clothing. I started out doing my artwork when I was 3 years old and started doing beadwork at the age of 3. By the time I was 8, I was selling it worldwide. And so this is, yeah, you name it, I do it. So, and if I haven't tried it, I probably will in my life. So, yeah.
Extreme talent.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so at the end of our meeting here, we will discuss this and then staff
Sounds
will
good.
reach out.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah, but thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
very
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
This
It
was
was,
awesome.
yeah, of course,
Thanks
and
for all the art and
Yeah.
stuff that you guys do.
of course, thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, I'm gonna go home and work. Have a great day, guys. Nice meeting you.
All right, let's move on to Kel.
It's not here yet.
It's actually Luke.
Is it Luke?
Uh-huh.
And it's
Luke
down
has-
the line because, oh, there it is, okay, good.
Yeah,
That's
sorry,
what I
it'll be quick. Just a briefing item to interview another possible commissioner for the Historic Preservation Commission. This would be Virginia Feldman. So if asking you folks to set up an interview if you'd like to.
How many positions do we have open, Luke?
Currently would be 3. Of course, you just interviewed someone. This would be a second person. So if both these people were appointed to the commission, there would then be 1 vacancy.
All right, commissioners, set her up.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you. All right, commissioners, do you have anything for Kel? Or Kel, do you have anything else for us?
I do not.
Anything for Kel? All right, that was quick and easy, relatively painless. All right. Ian, you can bring Dave up if you want.
Come on, Dave.
So nice of you to invite you.
Yeah, exactly.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is a briefing item for our septic rebate program that we have through the Puget Sound Partnership. This is one of the greatest septic rebate programs we've ever had that I know of. It's up to $1,500 and up to 2 rebates for a total of $1,500. And the way we structured it is it's 75% of a qualifying service. Among qualifying services are inspections, pumpings, effluent filter, there's a couple other things. And then also we're covering also small repairs to those systems, which we've never been able to cover before. So it's usually been limited to those inspections and pumping. So we're really hoping we can help a lot of people with this.
Yeah.
So how does that work exactly? Let's say somebody, let's say they're selling their house, they have to have it pumped.
Mhm.
Are you saying they can do that and then apply for reimbursement?
They could, we do have some stipulations in the policy. I don't remember if that specific scenario is exempt or not. But in general, most inspections are approvable. Because if a system's getting maintained and there's less issues with septic systems going into the sound, we're usually not splitting hairs on how that's happening. We do have some stipulations that the applicant has to be a resident owner of the property. It can't be like, an Airbnb or something like that.
It also says that it must be within a watershed that drains to either Puget Sound or Hood Canal.
Yeah, this grant is a little strange because we have a portion of that funding is for Hood Canal and a different portion of that funding is for South Sound. We have more funding in the Hood Canal region than we have in the South Sound region. And we have to be really careful about how many rebates we disperse in those areas. But
And that's because those entities, the Alliance of the Healthy South Sound and Hood Canal Quarry Council, do the granting?
they were part of the advisory committee that advised Puget Sound Partnership for where they wanted the money to go.
So I'll give you another example, just because it just happened to me. We had, PUD came out to install fiber, and they cut through my septic line. They didn't tell me. So all of a sudden, everything's backing up, I go snake it out. 2 days later, it's backing up again, I snake it. 2 days later, it's backing up, it's like, what the heck's going on? We had, I think it was AAA, but anyway, we had a company come out and inspect the system, septic system. They said, your septic's perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the plumbing, it's up the line.
Just can't get there.
Yeah. So we got a plumber out there, and he couldn't figure out what's going on. So he says, wait, there's gravel coming out when I clean this line out. So they started digging. So they cut into that pipe. Is that something that's I don't have a watershed issue, so it's not gonna apply to me, but would that apply in this instance?
People can get, if they have a septic system inspection, they find that a line is crushed or damaged, they could have that repair covered by this rebate program. If a contractor damaged your system, I would encourage that person to pursue
Yeah, we're having that discussion.
reimbursement with that company, but
No,
yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't, I don't think that we're in any of the watershed areas, so I don't think that's an issue, but.
Well, most of the county is. The area that doesn't qualify for this is the southwestern portion of the county that drains to the Chehalis. Anywhere that ultimately drains to Puget Sound or Hood Canal would be in an area that qualifies. So it's a pretty big area of the county.
Any other questions? All right, so you wanna read this on the, I believe our next meeting is the
I
9th.
think it's the 9th, yeah. Yeah, December 9th.
Okay. I think we're good.
Okay.
Anything more for Dave? Dave, anything for us?
I am working on the $4 million budget cut. That's gonna get spread across the health jurisdictions, between January and June, we're gonna take the cut.
And that's not $4 million to Mason County, so let's
No.
make sure that that's.
It's across the system.
Okay.
So the negotiation piece that's going on right now is, what does that mean for Mason County?
If King County has their way, it'll all
Yeah.
come out of Mason County's.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's been several things that have been proposed, and we worked on this last week. And one of the first things was an across-the-board cut of 9.8% to every health jurisdiction, and of course, that really hurts the smalls like us. We already took a $692,000 cut, I think, this year, altogether. So what the smalls had proposed is we do a base plus a population. So if you do base plus your percentage of the state population as the cut, so it would be much more favorable to the small and medium-sized jurisdictions. It just makes sense. I mean, we're using less of that fund than what the largers are, so.
You change your language. It's not more favorable, it's less damaging.
Less damaging, yeah. Well, then that's true.
Because that's the reality.
It is. I mean,
It's not favorable.
in the budget cuts last summer, you had counties like Columbia, Garfield took 27% cuts in their budgets. We took a 19% cut. Other places took 2.3% cuts. Yeah, their dollar figure was big, but as a percentage of the budget was very small. And I'm trying to avoid that going forward and making it a little more favorable to the, those of us who are on the really tight budgets.
How's with Soulful? Are they helping with this? Are they
Yes.
hindering? They are
No,
helping.
no.
Okay.
I'm working with Jamie just about daily on this, on working these things through. In fact, I got a call her when I get back, and see where we're going next. We want to get this all wrapped up by the end of December, so starting January 1st, we can apply any cuts that come across the 6 months instead of trying to take them out of the last 3 months. So, where we're at now, just, it's budget, wherever you look.
It is. Anything else?
Okay?
Okay,
Okay.
they're released.
Did you check with Ian first, whether he's released?
Okay.
Well, next up is Heidi. Come on up. How are you?
guys doing? I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Good. Did everyone have a good holiday weekend? Nice.
How about you?
I had a really good one, yeah. I saw a lot of family. I did Zoo Lights. That was amazing. Yeah, it was, I would recommend, it was very cool. It blew my expectations away. Anyways, I'll make this quick. So I just have two interagency agreements to brief you on. The first one is from Washington State Department of Agriculture for contract number K6454. We were awarded $3,000 from the state weed board to be used for control of Class A noxious weed, giant hogweed, in Mason County. And this agreement would provide $3,000 to be used for control of this plant. And we are planning to use this during the 2026 budget year. This will help with funding our extra help position and also facilitate hogweed control in Mason County. This is a continuation of work that we've been doing for a number of years. So I am requesting to place this interagency agreement on the next action agenda for approval and signature. Does anyone have any questions about that one? Okay, great. And then I do have the copies of the interagency agreements here as well as in the briefing packet. The next one is from Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission. This is agreement number 527-131. And we were awarded $10,000 from Washington State Parks to be used for control of noxious and invasive weeds in state parks within Mason County. This is going to be used, again, to help support our extra help position, and we are planning to use this in the 2027 budget year because our revenue for our program is looking good for next year. So we're we're going to use that during the first half of 2027, and I am requesting approval to place this on the next action agenda for approval and signature.
I support it.
All three. Yeah.
Great. Okay,
That was
well,
easy.
thank you so much, you guys. Yes, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Well, and thank you guys. There's a lot of weeds out there,
There are a lot of weeds out there.
and a lot of people don't understand what they really are.
Uh-huh.
That they are bad.
Yeah, and there
And
are a
so-
lot of very dangerous ones like giant hogweed, so it's great that we get funding to be able to help people with that plant, because it could really harm them if they tried to weed whack it or hand pull it, they could get burns. So, no, it's great that we're able to assist people with control of this plant. Yeah,
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, guys.
thank you. Yeah, and with it's been so mild, it's like a lot of the weeds are trying to bloom again.
I know.
I need them to quit it.
Stinking weeds.
Yeah, seriously. All right, well, thank you very much, you guys. I hope
Thank
you have a good week.
Have a good one. Do you know if we have Public Works in the lobby?
I don't, but I was going to ask, would it be okay if Kim jumps in here? She has another pressing matter to which she needs to attend, so if she could jump in there and take care of hers, that would be good.
Yes. I'm good with that. Are you guys good with that?
Thank you.
I hope so, because I'm sitting down. Whether we are or not.
So mine's pretty quick.
This is a good one.
This is a good one. This is a good one. So, as you are aware, we have been in contract negotiations with the Command Guild for almost a year now, if not
More than a year.
little longer. Predates me, I can tell you that. We have a ratified contract at this point. So,
That's so cool.
yes, I think I'm very happy with the outcome. I think that it's a fair contract. I think it will address both the county's needs and the employees' needs. It does address the compression issue that we've had with the Deputies Guild since the last contract was implemented for that group. So, as you know, we're in contract negotiations with the Deputies Guild again, so I believe that this contract gives us that flexibility to be able to address any needs that may show up in the Deputies Guild while still maintaining the integrity of the Command Guild contract. So if there are no initial questions, I'd like to request this be moved to the agenda on the night for the action committees for signature. I have all signatures except for the boards.
I support.
Absolutely, well done.
Good job.
And from from my team and the negotiating team, thank you for your support.
Thank you for your work. It's awesome having you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, see, if you showed up earlier, this would have been done a
All
long time ago, right?
all in the right time. I would, well, you know, I gotta tell, gotta hand it, there's a lot of people who've done a lot of heavy lifting on this contract. So I feel it a privilege just to be able to come in and bring it over the finish line, really. So, thank you.
Thank you. Public Works out there yet?
Looks like she's up there.
Yeah. Loretta? Can you hear us, Loretta?
Actually got Mike's name on it.
Unless she's.
She might be in the car, maybe. Well, why don't you take the next one?
We can pivot to John if you'd like.
Let's pivot to John.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, John.
I rarely come before you asking or talking about money. Some of the issues that we're having now have been long-term that we've been trying to deal with. We've reached a point right now with, beginning with North Mason. It is with Sand Hill Field. It was not developed for soccer. It was developed for baseball. The challenges we're running into now because of the different cleats and the way they play soccer as opposed to baseball, it goes later into the season. We're now no longer able to plant and ensure the grass is there for baseball after the season of soccer. So we're asking for some help on trying to figure out how we deal with that. I would like to have you think about maybe going forward to the school district and asking about their soccer fields and seeing if it's a potential of partnering with them. But I wanted, before I go forward to them, to be able to talk to you and get your support or some ideas of how we would address that issue.
What do you mean partner with them? What do you?
Well, they have fields, and again, it's for school, but a lot of the kids that play soccer go to school as well. So it's being able to sit down and talk with them and maybe coming up with.
We are partners with them already, on something, just so you know. The county got together and we were, because they cannot go for RCO grants. We went for RCO grants, we got grants, I'm on a committee that, till I die, that I have to be on the committee because they're supposed to keep that open, the field where they play football and stuff currently, for the community as well, and they do. So I do know other sports teams use it, football use it, stuff like that. But if there's more partnership, I'm wondering if you see a partnership, we can bring them to help us. On our side, we went through and we got $650,000 for them. That's what made that field doable, their turf field. Actually, they'll call it turf, the mold. I don't know what they call it now. The rubber stuff.
AstroTurf, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's probably an older term. I don't know.
Definitely don't call it that anymore. So, I don't know, but we can make arrangements, if the commission wants, we can make arrangements to get you connected with any of them up there. The question is, how? We need to find a partnership where there's a use that goes backwards this way. Because they're gonna ask us to team up again for future grants for softball fields and stuff like that. This is an opportunity somehow, maybe we do something to go backwards. Sand Hill is right next door to Sand Hill Elementary School. So a dual use field is a possibility.
And we did do a survey, or we did do a recommendation for a field that would have gone up above, but the RCO was a little tight with their grant money, and it left us exceptionally short on what the total cost of the field was. Which
And we need to look at more of that as well.
Well, I think schools are having an issue also with funding, so.
They are.
It would be, I think it would be smart for the county and the schools to really have the communication.
I just wanted to make sure I had your support as I go forward to talk to them about what that looks like. The second one I have is Latimer's Landing. We did some repairs to that a year and a half ago. It was questionable how long they would last because of the weather and the use of that boat launch. The repairs need to be done either again, or we need to look at making developing a longer solution for repairing that boat launch. It's one of the most popular in the inlet.
Yeah, well used.
Absolutely, and there's a good commercial side to that as well, so it would hurt the county significantly if we had to close that down for any extended period of time, just based on it being unsafe.
So is there any way to get some grants? Cause
I have been looking.
$250,000.
Are there any shellfish grants that are out there? Because they do utilize our facilities.
There are, and the federal government's got two. They're on hold right now until the current administration does work through on how they're gonna offer those.
But
So
for that
we are
area, that'd
waiting
be
for
Squaxin, right? So
Yep.
we need to, and we just had a good
Reach out
meeting
to
with
them as
Squaxin.
well.
We need to reach out to them for a partnership.
Yeah, I'm very interested in the county reaching out to doing public-private partnerships and seeing what we can, commissioners.
Yeah. Yeah, it's find some way to cover all the costs.
Oh, no, absolutely. I don't expect us to cover it all, but.
I think
those
both entities
partnerships
might
work.
team up with us. And if you get both, you know, with the tribal, you have a much better chance with federal, there's no question about it. But even, you know, economic development grants because of tailed shellfish and the like might be.
That's what I was thinking too.
Is that something you'd like me to?
And can you reach out to the EDC as well
I will.
and see if there's anything that they can help us with as far as
I will do
finding
that.
other resources?
And I'll continue to research to see, because there are new grants opening up all the time.
Well, I'm asking our grant writer to look at not just our basic grants, but also to look at that federal grant, what a partnership might look like. And sometimes just getting the partnership to be able to sign on the line opens us up to it. Like I mentioned, the school district could not apply for the RCO grant for that park. That's why the county had to do it. I'm sure there's things that the tribe will be acceptable to that we can't. Same thing with federal government's partnerships. So please look at all those and ask our staff to look at those different options.
I'll begin moving in that direction. MCRA, we talked a couple of years ago.
Now you're pushing it.
I know. It all happened at once. I mean, we've been able to do the maintenance on it fairly well, but it's getting to a point where we need to look at a solution to replace those fields because they were put in with our CO grant money, which means that we're now responsible for replacing it. I think we have another year or so, but I want to be able to put it out so we can start looking, because it's about 200,000 per field, so it's
You have to
not.
start looking now. When we opened up the last one, the Commissioner Jeffries, at the time, which became Drexler, got hit with an air baseball when we were there for and it was all on video.
Yeah, let's start working on it. We got 3. We do what we have to do.
No, I got it. I just wanted to give you enough time so it wasn't something I would drop on you.
Oh, surprise.
Then I'd be in
right?
trouble if it was something we weren't budgeting for or starting to look into the future.
Yeah,
For,
no,
so
that's great.
that's all I have.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you, John.
I have a few other things I could bring everyone up to speed on if you'd like. One, I just wanted to let you know that we did get a final copy of the Mason Lake feasibility study, so that has been completed and forwarded to us. I have not heard back from Green Diamond since our last conversation. I did get a hold of Eric over there last week, and he said they've got some other issue that has their legal all tied up right now. So once they get freed up on that, we should be hearing some more information. So also following up on Commissioner Netherland's request for the Purdy Creek Bridge and the renaming. Chris attended a meeting for me last Wednesday to talk about that process and some different ways that we can tackle that. So we should be coming back in the next week or so to actually have a discussion about what that process looks like, so that you all can consider options there.
I had a little bit of an update by him. Brilliant way of going about it. Outside the box, I like the idea of it. We'll see what everybody else thinks, but we need to give a little pat on the back to our lobbyists for thinking a little differently, because that is a definite route I would never have considered.
Yeah, and she definitely, when we made the request, jumped right on it and got after it and started to figure out the best way to tackle that problem. So we'll circle back next week and just kind of have a more formal conversation about that. I was asked to bring up a request that we received from Olympic College. They were wanting to start up EMT and paramedic programs at Olympic College, and they were hoping that they sent a draft letter of support, and they were hoping that Mason County would support them in that endeavor.
Do they want 3 commissioners, or would they be content with the administrator?
I
For 3 commissioners. They did.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be better if
Yeah,
it came
then
from
we'd have
3
to bring it to
commissioners
the
always.
body.
We can do it on the 9th.
Yeah, what was that, Commissioner?
On the 9th.
Oh, okay, yep, bring it forward on the 9th. Okay, yep, we can definitely do that. And then you may or may not know, but I believe it was Commissioner Trask reached out to MTA on the library space up there. Based on the email we got back from them, sounds fairly positive that that's gonna be a good space that they can utilize up there. So did you get final follow-up on?
Not yet.
Okay.
Figured because of the holiday, it's,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I just want to circle back
But
and
it
say
sounds like
that
it's really good.
contact had been made, and that's probably an even better solution than we would have been out there on
Yeah.
Old Buffer Highway, so.
Just some things to clarify as far as the bathroom use and how many outlets they would need.
Yep. So, that is all from me at the moment.
Okay, no Loretta yet?
She's here in the Zoom room, but at least her name is.
Loretta, are you available yet?
All right, well, commissioners, let's go ahead and talk about PAC and the Historic Commission. Historic
Yes and
Preservation.
yes.
That's what I think too.
Yeah. absolutely.
All right. Can you reach out and let them know that we would like for them to join those two commissions? Well, you know what I mean.
Yes. Yes and yes is what I heard.
Yes and yes.
Okay.
Yes and yes. Well, what did Public Works have on there?
I don't know, I was just trying to
Just one item.
dig it up here.
The Delmore Road
Right away.
jurisdiction transfer. This is the
Oh,
correction
right.
facility road.
Yeah, which we already kind of briefed on it.
Yeah.
So what is anything different that you saw?
Requested action, recommend the Board of Commissioners approve a resolution authorizing the transfer of jurisdiction for Delmore Road to the state of Washington and authorize chair and/or public works staff to execute the necessary transfer documents.
I would say yes.
Yeah, I would say yes.
Okay. All right.
Put it on the agenda.
Well, that brings us to the end of the agenda. Commissioners, anything else?
Not anything that comes to mind. Other than I'm really excited that I got a cheap trip to the Caribbean coming up.
All right.
That's pretty cool. 10 days, you said?
10 days, $325 a person.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of our briefing agenda. Commissioners,
I move we adjourn.
all right, we are adjourned.
Yep.